Thank you for tuning in to Clubhouse Chronicles. No, you are not getting a loud your sound in your ears because it's a Saturday morning and we're taking things easy today. But thank you for joining us. Welcome back to Clubhouse Chronicles, the place where the Central Illinois music scene gets loud, proud, and unfiltered. I'm Twitt, your host with the most, ready to spin you the stories, the sounds, and the struggles behind the bands that are making waves right here in your backyard. This show is powered by our friends over at Broken Record Music Club, bringing you music for whatever you are going through. With that, let's buckle on up because this isn't just a podcast. This is your front row ticket to the heart of your indie music scene. This week, I am so excited because we have a very special guest, or guests, I should say. They are here just ahead of their highly anticipated album, Mwah, coming out this Friday. We have a bunch of very fun gals here. This queer girl indie pop group comes from glorious Peoria with ukuleles, podcasts, and the most amazing selfies in tow. Every time they get on stage, they're going to rock the damn show. Give it up for Emily the Band and its amazing members, Emily Antonacci, Cameron Proctor, and Abby Haste. Welcome to the Clubhouse, everyone.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Thank you.
Huzzah!
I didn't know that our selfies were world renowned. Thank you so much.
I love your selfies because as I'm doing this research on Instagram and all the various media that you guys have, I just love how it's like right here every time. It just brings me a lot of joy. So I had to include it in there, at least for my expense. But
appreciate it.
Thank you guys for coming on and talking about your album today. You guys have your own podcast, so this should be like a breeze for you.
Yeah, it's been super goofy. We recorded an episode and we had a whole schedule planned out, and then life happened. So we just recorded the second episode and it'll be out eventually. We're just letting it be what it is. So that's what it'll be.
For those of you that don't know, their podcast is called Is This a Date? And I think that's a very valid question at certain points. But I just want to dive into Emily the Band as a whole. And I really want to go through how each of you got your start in music through 2019, because that's when the first single by Emily the Band came out. So what made each of you get into music in the first place, and how did that grow into wanting to make your own music?
Ooh, who's going first?
Who wants to kick it off? You got it, Cam.
I've got it. Okay, I can kick it off. First of all, hi, I'm Cameron. You can also call me Cammy. You can also call me Cam. I go by they, them, theirs. I do find it really funny because obviously, we do market ourselves as like an indie girl group, and I'm like, yeah, I am a girl. I'm just also non-binary. Like, if you can't get on the level of that, we're not seeing eye to eye. But yeah, you were like these gals, and I was like, I'm non-binary, but I'm definitely a gal as well. But as for my start in music, I've just been playing music and singing and expressing myself in that way since I was like a little kid. It just always was like what was very intuitive to me. I just super duper love music, like. And my parents love music too. I'm an only child, and they played so much music for me at home, and I did so much like dancing and listening with my dad. And then like that interest kind of sparked into more, because we had like, I think it was probably my dad's, but when I was like little, we had this little like keyboard, and it was one of them real janky ones, where you're like you probably shouldn't let a child play with this because like it will break. But I was like playing with it all the time and just like writing little stuff, and that kind of spiraled off into me being like, oh, I want to get like piano lessons. And I actually started out my musical journey on piano, and I just like I think I was 8 when I started lessons, but I just like super duper fell in love with it, and I was a huge nerd about it, and was just like, if I wasn't in school, if I was at home, I was like playing piano. Then from there, it's just that love continued to grow. But when I got into like later middle school, I was like, I love piano, but like I wish I had something more portable, because like I think I want to start like writing songs and stuff and like going out and playing music. I'm gonna learn guitar. I've seen people play guitar. That shit looks easy. That looks so easy. So I'm so good at piano that it's gonna be like a breeze. But like for me, what really hooked me on guitar was I was so wrong. Like I thought it was gonna be so easy because I was looking at people's hands as they would play guitar, and I was like, that's so like those shapes are so simple compared to all this stuff you have to do on piano. But it's like I found guitar 1,000,000 times more challenging than piano because it hurt my hands. My hands felt weak. I felt like I couldn't play anything, and like something about how challenging it was just like totally, I was just enamored by that. And so I just completely fell in love with guitar. And now I would say I primarily play guitar, but I still love to play piano. I have my little keyboard right here. I still love to play from time to time, but yeah, I just from there just started to fall more and more in love with guitar and started to play with other people, started to play in bands, started to go to open mics, and experience more of the music community and like write songs. And me and Em met when we were in high school, and we started to fall into love. We started to fall in love and have this beautiful friendship. And at some point along the way, Emily showed me their songwriting, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally so beautiful. I'm so obsessed. Like I just instantly was like, I can't believe this friend has been hiding this gem from me this entire time we've known each other. And I just, at the time I was starting to get into production, and I was just instantly like, I want to like make something with you. I want to like produce with you. So that's the early Emily the Band stuff. That's more like pop, is like stuff that me and Emily just worked on together as friends in this very, I don't know, very free way. But yeah, from there, I feel like I have just fallen more and more in love with music, more and more in love with Emily and Abby, and more in love with guitar. And yeah, I'm just trying to, now I'm just trying to get better all the time with guitar and songwriting and production and all that stuff. So that's kind of my journey.
Hello, my name is Abby. I do she, her pronouns. I started with music when I was about roughly 10 or 11. It was 5th grade, and it was concert band, and I was super into it because both my sisters did saxophone and trumpet, and I was like, that's so cool. I want to do concert band too. And I didn't know what I wanted to play, and I was bordering between percussion, clarinet, and trombone. And, things could have been so different if I picked clarinet. Who knows? But it was because I was at I went to Princeville, and I was at a Princeville basketball game because my sister was a cheerleader, and we had a rock band at the time, and there was a super cool girl drummer going crazy on the drums, and I was just like, I was so enamored about it, and I was really impressed and blown away, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that so bad. And then I started with band, and I started taking lessons from this guy, Jeremy Clark, about when I was like 12. And I started playing ever since. And then like I was just on my own for a very, very long time, just literally playing drums in our kitchen. And then it was the Princeville Heritage Days, which is like our carnival. And I wanted to do the talent show, and I did a solo on the xylophone, and I did a drum set solo up there all by myself. And what do you know? Little Cameron was actually there with them and some other friends because they were in like a band together, but it was all guitarists and bassists. They didn't have a drummer yet. And wow, and then there I am just up there on stage by myself. And so it was like destiny, it was like fate. We met each other, and Cami came up to me and was like, oh my God, you're so good. We need a drummer. Will you take my phone number and think about it? And I did, and I was like, yeah, let me think about it. It was a yes for sure, but I had to seem cool. I didn't want to look too desperate. But I do vividly remember being on the like car ride home, and I was like looking out the window. I think this was when I was like 14-ish. And I was looking out the window, and I was like, I'm gonna be a rock star. We're gonna play in arenas. This is the start of everything. Yeah, and that's how it kind of started. And then, me and Cami were playing together for a while. And then once Emily started, then they were like, we need a drummer. And then here I was. So that's my story.
And then I, Emily, she, they pronouns, I started singing like when I learned how to make noises as a child. And started just writing silly little songs that would float into air. And then my first like documented song is my hit single, Triple Platinum, Uwai, What Shall I Be? In which I ponder career possibilities and I land on a movie star, which I assumed would make me glamorous, rich, have a mansion, and be famous. And I am only one of those things. Glamorous, I like to think. Anyway, so yeah, I was just being silly, writing my songs. I started playing ukulele when I was gifted one for my 13th birthday by my best friend Anna. Yeah, at first I didn't understand that the frets mattered. Like I was just playing chord shapes wherever I wanted on the neck. And I was like, yes, I'm a musician. And then I finally learned that the frets really do matter. And then met Cami in high school through mutual friends. And then we were on like speech team together. It was a really interesting era. And then I met Abby through like Cami's other band, The Blank Stares. And I was really scared of Abby at first. I was like, God, she's so cool. I'm horrified. But it turns out she is cool, but she's also just a sweet little nerd. So glad I got over that. And yeah, then Cami and I started playing music together. And then in regards to like the first single in 2019, it was like not planned to be anything like it has turned out to be. Like I was going off to school. I did 1 year of business school at University of Illinois. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing it anymore. So, but before I left, we connected with our friend Connor Billard, who we have been making music with ever since, or at least like producing music with. And we're like, oh, I just want to like record this song that I have. And it was called Messy. I had written it like a year before. And Cami did basically everything that wasn't my vocals, the songwriting itself, and ukulele. Cami was like, I have a vision. And they made it happen. It was the coolest thing ever because I was like, in my brain, I think I thought it was just going to be like ukulele, Cami on guitar, and my vocals. And then it just like turned into an amazing, fully fleshed out tune. And then people really started listening to it. Like, I think it got picked up in the Spotify algorithm. It got like put on people's Discover Weekly playlists and artist radios and things. So yeah, now it's like almost at 1 million streams, which is really wild and I'm very grateful for. And also now that we have made better songs, in my opinion, I'm like, hey guys, what if we listen to things that weren't about a freak man being a freak to me when I was a child? But anyway, that is the story, divas.
So I heard from when I interviewed Sweet Milk that those triple platinum songs from your childhood were actually like really good songs. And they spoke so highly of these songs that it made me very curious. So I was listening through your whole discography this week. I was like, I wonder which ones could those be out? Or are those just for private ears?
Right. So, Uwai, What Shall I Be? And that is the full title. That is actually on our Patreon. So it's behind a paywall. But the One Till the End, which is the first track on our album, the Heartbreak album, that is from when I was 12. And like the first track 1 is the voice memo that I took when I was 12. And then track 2 is the like actual recorded version that we did. So yeah, Ms. The One Till the End is our vintage diva of our like properly recorded music.
That's so awesome. I wish I had an ounce of that kind of talent, you know, just oozing out of me. But I appreciate you guys sharing where you started. I think it's so important to see where you started and then see how you all came together as a band. You mentioned the single Messy, how it was Emily and Cami. Abby, when did you kind of start coming into the mix and get started, really the three of you as a full band? in 2021?
That was for the living room release show in Emily's backyard. It was originally just gonna be, they just wanted to like play it live, and they're like, we need someone to play drums, and so they asked me, and I was like, of course. And it was a lot of fun, and then we just kind of stuck together since then. It just kind of became a thing, and we were like, you know what, why don't we just make this a band? This is really fun. And then we birthed Emily the band officially right after that release show.
Was it a pretty easy transition for you all? You know, Abby, you said you had been playing with Cami for a while, and Emily, you said through Cami you became friends with Abby. Was it a really easy transition to make this happen, or was there like a process to this decision to, hey, let's all just make our own music together?
Well, I will speak because I sometimes feel that I am the hinge, or it was the hinge back then, the kind of connection between the three of us. I think it was I struggle to use the word easy because, like, you know, with any band, with any kind of group creative project, it does take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time to, like, it's very intimate. It takes a lot of time to get to know how to create music with someone. But it wasn't easy, but I do feel like it was extremely intuitive. Like, it just felt right. And it was still like a lot of hard work to figure out how the three of us fit together, but we had this immense advantage and kind of this kind of accelerator, which is that I understood how to make music with Emily because we had created so much music together, and I understood how to make music with Abby. So I feel like the last link that really locked in was like when Em and Ab were able to really learn how to communicate in that way with each other. But it felt like we had a really solid foundation from the very beginning, and we could almost jumpstart into being a band because of that connection that I had with both of them, but especially with Abby, because like in our arrangement, I play electric guitar and Em plays uke and Abby plays drums. Me and Abby, like, to this day and likely forever, like, I just feel that in my heart, we have a bond in our souls that I call like the rhythm section bond, which is essentially the bond between, I'll say, a bassist and a drummer, because I also play bass, not for Emily the band, but for like a lot of other projects. It felt so intuitive, and it felt a little faster than other bands I had played in or other projects that I had started with, because me and Abby just, like, we had already put so much time into building our like rhythm section bond. Like, I can literally just like look at Abby when we're playing, and we just know what's going on, and we can like become a solid foundation for anything. And I feel like that just made it really easy for Em to be able to just see that we were a solid foundation and be able to just be like, all right, I get to just do my own thing up here. But then it's like, once we really the three of us started to connect, I think that's when we really like locked in. Like, for this upcoming EP that we have coming out, I really feel that, like, I'm super proud of our former album, the Heartbreak album, but it really does feel like that is the album where we like learned like just how to play together. And this new EP, it really feels like the culmination of us really like figuring out how to really, really all cohesively like lock in as the three of us as one kind of musical entity. And I'm very excited for what comes next too, because like I was just talking to Abby yesterday actually, and I was like, I love this EP. I think it's great. I truly think it's beautiful. I think we did an amazing job, but it feels like the next thing we make is going to be like unfathomable because we've locked in so hard. And like, what happens when you get past the point of locking in? Like, it's going to be mind-blowing. So
It's got to be a really good feeling knowing that connection has been building and building and building, and now it's boom, here's this beautiful project. And we'll talk about mwah a little later because I have some questions about the project specifically, but I do want to take it back to the Heartbreak album. The band is officially complete. The three divas are together. You lead up with 3 singles before releasing the album itself. Can you guys speak on how the creative process changed for you? Cami, you just did a great job explaining how you already knew how to play with Abby, and so Emily was able to do their thing. But as you've written new material now for this next album, how has it changed at all?
Right. So the Heartbreak album, I've been kind of describing it as an anthology of my like songwriting archive. Like there was a song from when I was 12, and then the last song that I wrote for that one was Brooklyn Lady when I was, I think, 20 or 21. So that was like the process for that was we'd been playing these songs out, like we'd been gigging, but we had all these songs that I'd written that weren't recorded. So we kind of made our arrangements for the recording by playing live and also playing at like our band practices, just kind of getting a feel for how we wanted everything to go. And then recording that album, we were like, how do we make this sound like the live version, but like polished? So it was interesting. It was very much, we wanted it to sound very translated, like recorded to live. So I think there's bass on there, and there's like maybe some synth padding, but for the most part, like what you hear is what you get when we're live. And now that, well, I guess maybe I shouldn't jump into moi. It's a different story for moi, is all that I'll say.
I'm really excited about mwah. I can't really contain myself. I want to jump to those questions, but I'm gonna resist the temptation. So one thing that I really like in your release like timeline that you all do is how the covers for the singles represent like a portion of the project. Like for the Heartbreak album, I like how each of you had your own like single face on one of the single covers, and then the last single was like the backside of you guys, and then the album cover was all three of you. And it seems to be the same for moi, at least for two of the singles. Tuesday Street was a little different. As far as like this planning, whose idea was this? Because I think it's genius. I really love, and I feel like it adds something to, as these little pieces come out, like you're just getting more and more excited for the full thing.
If it's okay, I have something I'd love to jump into with that.
Yeah.
Speaking on actually the visual side of our music releases. So I'm so glad that you brought that up about enjoying the album artwork. And I love talking about the visual side of what we create, because I get to talk about the lovely Caspian Voss, who is our photographer and our dear friend, and also my girlfriend. But yeah, she's just awesome. Literally, okay, so I know some people are not seeing the video. I need you to know that, like, silently, because Emily is muted, literally, like, I will like narrate it. Emily literally, I heard it in my head, even though I didn't hear anything, go, ah, gay, and like pointed their finger like at the camera really aggressively. But yeah, Caspian is just awesome, and she's a visionary. She's an amazing photographer, but also just more broadly an amazing artist and an amazing capturer of souls, capturer of energy with a camera. And like for the Heartbreak album, she also did the photography for that, and we like loved working with her on that, and we loved how that turned out. But I feel like what was so great also about moi in the aspect of the photography was we had more experience working with Cassie, and so it felt like she could also take some of the concepts we've been trying to execute and go even further with them. And one thing that I love about the moi EP is I think it looks beautiful. I'm so proud of how it looks, and like that is so much due to Caspian and her amazing photography. And y'all will all get to see, or when the EP drops. But it's great because I could talk about it now, because the EP artwork has been like fully revealed by Pretzel because of the pre-orders. But if you look at the cover, it is this amazing photo shoot that we got to do with Cassie, all three of us together. It's me and Cassie share a home, and it's at our dining room table. Our home also is like, it's kind of the ETB headquarters, but it's at our dining room table where we always have all of our like band meetings, and we laid down this beautiful tablecloth, and then we all just brought like a ton of knickknacks and cute things like necklaces and candles and teapots and thread, and like I had a ton of like crystals and all this stuff, and we made this like very like vintage I Spy inspired setup with this beautiful fake cake that Emily had made. That's the moi cake, as it were. And we got to do this beautiful photo shoot. And I think the coolest thing that we got to do with that photo shoot that was an idea that we and all came up with together with Cassie is that, and I'm not going to reveal too much, but there are certain items on the table that are representative of each song on the EP. And what was so cool is that, like, what I loved the most was that when we were thinking about the cover art for the singles, we were thinking about it as a whole. Like we were thinking about this entire table. And for the singles that are already out, it is like zoomed in on that same table that is the big overhead shot for the actual EP. Is like each element on the table that represents the meaning of each song. And it is so cool. It's so I Spy, and I just love it so much. And I'm so proud of how it looks. Like literally, like when Pretzel was dropping all these beautiful graphics, being like, Peoria this now, Peoria this now. It like, I feel like it really sunk in for me for the first time. Like, this is beautiful. Like visually, we really made something beautiful together, and that side of it was just so led by Caspian. But yeah, so that's Caspian Voss, or Caspian Radar online. She is for hire. She's amazing. She's amazing for weddings and events. And so if you're somebody you're like, I want like an awesome badass photographer, please reach out to her. We will share.
Big shout out to Caspian. Now that you say the I Spy thing, it's definitely I Spy coded. Now that you mention it, and I can make the connection. And now I'm contemplating everything I know about cake. Like I feel like my life is this cake, because I thought it was a real cake this whole time, and it's just art, and it's beautiful, so it works. But I'm really rethinking a lot of stuff.
I'll go get it right now.
So basically I made it with the base of it is actually a cake tin, and I was like, well, I want it to be heart shaped, and I already have this, so this like shape, so why don't I just build on top of that? So it's like spackle, like the stuff that you fill in holes in the wall with, and then paint, like that's it. And then I got like an actual piping bag for the little swirls and for the border. So yeah, Cami, do you want to make noise so that they can see the cake?
Yes, yeah. For the audio listeners, all that description applies to the cake, but I have it in my hands here, and I'm turning it around, and the secret is revealed, which is that the underside is this hollow, upside down, heart-shaped cake pan, and the truth comes out that this is, well, technically, I like to say anything is edible one time, but this is not. You're not to eat this. This will be your last meal. It is not a real cake.
It's the forbidden cake. I feel like that astronaut meme right now, where it's like it wasn't cake the whole time, and it's the guy with the gun behind him, and it never was. Just,
oh my god,
reality shattered. Staying on the visual side of Mwah, there's such a noticeable contrast between the Heartbreak album and Mwah. Like the Heartbreak album was a lot of dark colors, a lot of cool colors. And I think it really played out in the songs themselves. Like they were more introspective, and they made you think, and they had like deeper meaning to them. And then you see Mwah, and it's just color and pink, and like you said, like a bunch of different stuff everywhere. Was that an intentional choice? Is that more determinant on the content that's within the project itself?
Yeah, I think so. I think with Mwah, we really wanted to lean into the fun and whimsy that happens like co-occurringly. And maybe I just made up a new word, but that's how language works, babe. Fun and whimsy that happens along with like complicated emotions, like estranged family members, a la Sweet Aquamarine, or like a friend breakup, a la Tuesday Street, or also one of the unreleased tracks is called Queer Platonic Crush, which is basically our love song to each other, just about how like one of the lines in Cammy's verse, leak, Emily the band leak, is like, turn up the volume and we'll plan our commune because I've seen the future and it looks like you. It's like we are all so deeply in love with each other, and we will have an Emily the band commune one day. All that to say, whimsy and fun happen at the same time as grief and anger and love and joy. So I think that's what we tried to capture. And also with your last question, I was thinking about how like Tuesday Street, the cover of that is so different from the rest, but it was shot like all of the visuals for this album were shot on the same day. But yeah, that one was just, I wonder how many times we took the photo, but it was me with a match in my hand, and the candle was already lit, but when you put the match on it, it made like a really cool, like, mini explosion, like little make the flame go big. So yeah, we did it a bunch of times, and we got to figure out which flame go big picture we liked the best. And so the one that ended up being the cover art was just one of those shots. Also, for the overhead shot, I think we were also trying to get it so it was like one of the flame go big moments. And so I wonder how many attempts that we did. It was also like Cassie on a chair with, I think she might have had like a tripod or like a monopod, camera on a stick from above, being like, okay, and 1, 2, 3, flame. And it was just trying to make it all happen and trying to get the framing right. It was really like, it was nuts, but it was my favorite shoot that we've done so far.
With that level of creativity, it's hard to see why that wouldn't be a good time. You know, you're surrounded by your friends and you're making this, which is, I think it's going to be like such a big piece of the album, with how accessible and easy it is for people to just make music and put it out there. I think the art of the album cover is like losing value, and it shouldn't, because you can have really cool stuff like this where it's just huge set and all the covers are associated with the set, and it adds such a big piece to it that I feel like your fans would at least really appreciate that aspect of it too. And I'm sure it's helping with your pre-sales through Pretzel Records, which shout out Julie, shout out Doug, big Pretzel Record fan right here.
It's been such a dream, like, working with Doug and Julie. We basically found out about Pretzel Records and their happenings through Henna Sweet Milk. And yeah, they were like, yeah, we're doing like a collab and working together. And so I was like, interesting. I wonder if they would want to work with us. And it turns out they did. And so we had a meeting. Cami and I were actually in Nashville because Cami was working with featured artist Patty Pershela. But we were like down there and hopped on a call with Doug and Julie from our friends' like living room floor. And I thought it was a question of like, do y'all want to work with us? And they were like, oh yeah, of course. Like, how do we want to go about this? And so I was like, I was just blown away. And I love being like, oh yeah, our label. Yeah, I just have to send an email to our label. No big. No freaking big, dude. We love them.
I feel like that's like a very common reaction. Like, let me talk to my label real quick. Let me get an answer for you. Let my people talk to your people, and we'll figure it out. You've kind of unpacked a lot about the release already. Mwah comes out this Friday. This is coming out. We're recording this in advance, people. It's okay. Everyone does it. But this is coming out the Wednesday before the project is released. Is there anything else that you kind of want to share about the project? Like maybe how you came up with the title, or how many tracks we can expect, or whatever you guys want to share. I want to really open the floor to the three of you and just let you run rampant.
Yeah, so it's 6 tracks, 4 of which have been released as singles, but for the EP itself, all the tracks are kind of remixed / remastered so that they all sound like one big pie instead of little pieces of pie. And also, originally, Marceline was just a one-off single. Like, we didn't have any multi-track release plans when we put that out. So the album art is very different. It is a physical drawing by our sweet baby Cameron. But then we were like, we got to put it on, like, a CD. Like, the girls love a CD. We got to do a CD. So, yeah, 6 tracks. And oh gosh, what else? Oh, the name of it I came up with. I was driving to Iowa because that's where my partner was living at the time. And it was very, very fitting in the cinematic universe of the song And Back Again. It was very much me driving from Peoria to Iowa. and back again. But yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, dang, we need a title for this EP. And then it came to me. I was like, wow, mwah. Like, I love you, you're my friend. I love you, you're my partner. Or kiss my ass. I thought it was so encapsulating of everything. And that's what we ran with. I texted the girls. I was like, you guys, I just had the wildest idea. And they were like, whoa, that's nuts. Let's do it. So then we did it.
I think I'd like to share just like a note of gratitude, especially to like all the sweet friends of mine and of ours that have been like reaching out to us or even just to me and being like, I just pre-ordered the bundle with the shirt and the keychain and the CD, or I just pre-ordered your CD, or just sending notes of just being like, I'm so excited to hear this. I know you worked so hard. To anyone who ever decides to or has decided to or continues to like actively care for us in that way and care about our music and enjoy and listen to and appreciate our music, like I just want you to know that we are all so grateful for you, and like especially as independent artists, like y'all are truly like the heart and soul of what we do. There is nothing for us if there is not sharing this music with you. And like I have been feeling so much gratitude in my life lately, but especially for the folks that care for us in that way, that really care about our music. And like to those people, I think I want you all to know that like it is the songs are in your hands now. Like Emily said this beautiful thing one time where they were like, I kind of feel like once a song of mine is released, I don't see it as like mine anymore. Like it's kind of this big shared thing, and people are going to take away from it something that's probably totally different than maybe what I intended when I wrote it. But you know, there's so much beauty in that, and I just really hope, especially with songs like Queer Platonic Crush, and Sweet Aquamarine, and songs that are about the beauty of love, but also like the challenge of love. I really do hope that the people that feel seen by that know that like that matters to us so much, and we're so grateful for like the love and the intention behind that. So yeah, I guess mine is a note of gratitude, and huge gratitude to freaking Pretzel Records. Like the way that they have helped to us to spread the word of our music and to make beautiful physical manifestations of our music, like all of their hard work truly cannot be understated. And like especially Julie, who has just been like such a gem in every step along the way of just like working with us and being so open and like just giving us so much openness and being like making sure we know that we are still in control of like the destiny of our art. Like I'm so grateful to Pretzel too. Like they really like they took this entire concept to the next level, and I'm so grateful for them for that.
I think I'll give a little shout out to our parents and our mothers, because at least for me, my biggest supporter my whole life has always been my mom. She is literally the person I can count on for literally everything. And I am so grateful for her. And she comes to like every show, and she always takes videos, and she's always so proud of us. And I'm looking forward to when the EP gets released, our text that we always get from Cammie's mom saying, wow, this was awesome. You guys are badass. She always calls us badasses, and genuinely, it is so heartfelt. She's the first person who's ever called me a badass when I was young, and I feel like that has really sat with me, and that really like opened my eyes when I was a child, like, whoa, am I badass? And so I really appreciate all our mothers and our parents for their support and their love. We're very gracious.
If you guys didn't believe it before, you are all badasses. All this music is so fantastic. One of the really cool things for me, listening through the discography from Messy all the way to Sweet Aquamarine and Tuesday Street, just talk about how much you have grown like in your production. I know Cameron mentioned the production aspect of things and how that it's changed. Like there's little elements in the song where they really pulled me in and held me in the moment while I was listening to, especially like Sweet Aquamarine. I really felt it there. And Tuesday Street's just I think it's a bad bitch anthem, but that's that's beside the point. Sweet Aquamarine, though, it held me there, and I was like, wow, like I'm thinking about my whole life right now, like rethinking everything. But it was just it touched me in a good way, the words that you guys were saying and the way it sounded. Is this something that you have noticed amongst yourselves? And you mentioned it a little earlier in this podcast, but has this been something that has been noticeable to you?
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. That was like one of my favorite compliments we've ever received. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, I think it all just feels a lot more like mature because we've grown up. Like I was 18 when Messy came out. Cammie, I think, was 17, and Abby was our friend, but Abby was like not yet in the picture. But the three of us has really grown up together quite a bit, and I think that's pretty evident in the music, and we've just all gotten so much stronger as musicians, like independently and together. So yeah, I think Moi really shows off all of those sparkles.
Yeah, I love this particular question, and I also too want to express like thank you for saying what you did like about experiencing our recorded music in that way. That really means a lot because that is something that we were so like intentional about throughout the entire process, is trying to create a vibe in our music that hopefully will find will find the folks that need to hear it, and that it will bring some comfort to them. But yeah, especially the production process has really evolved. And I feel like that's something that I'm comfortable speaking about just in kind of like my own experience. Because like when we first released Messy, I was, like Em said, probably about 17. And I have been doing production work actively since I was like probably like 15, like consistently. And I a recurring struggle for me as an artist that I'm still constantly just in recovery from is like just not feeling good enough, or not feeling like my art was like legitimate enough. So it's like when we made Messy, even though it was so loved and it like blew up, and like fully I did all this production work on it and like this arrangement work on it, and like I was so much of the reason why it was appreciated and why it turned out the way it did, I still had this mental mindset where I was like, well, but like I wouldn't say I like did production on it. Like that's saying too much. Like I'm not a producer, okay? I just like do everything a producer would do, but I've just like never seen a producer that looks like me. So surely it can't be me. And it's like that was just something I dealt with so much. And I look back now and I'm like, "Oh, I've fully been a producer the entire time. I've been doing production the entire time. I just didn't have the self-belief and the assurance in that to claim that." But especially with Moi, I feel that I stepped it up so much when it came to the production side of the project, especially in just like my self-belief. Like I was so much more comfortable being like, yeah, I produced this, and so did my friend Connor. We produced it together. Like we both did equally as much, equally as valid work on it. Arguably, like my work on the project was foundational. Like in case it wasn't clear, we recorded all of Moi, like everything except for when Connor would add synth or bass, he would do that in his own space. But everything other than that was recorded here in my home, in my living room. Like I'm actually sat in my like mixing room right now, and like everything was recorded there, and me and Abby would like set up and test and mic the drums, and I did all the guitar tracking here and all the vocal tracking here. And I just like feel like for me, Moi was all about, for me, mentally making that leap into being like, no, I am producing this. Like I am capable. I have been a producer all along, and I'm going to really like stand in that power and like actually trust myself. And I feel like the moment that I started to practice more trusting myself, the music was able to come across a little more like authentic, because it didn't feel like I was constantly being like, instead of thinking about like, is this little thing perfect? Could I nitpick this little moment more? I was able to actually stand back and view the big picture of the songs and the overall energy of the songs and the vibes of the songs. And I think that did such a favor to the EP, because I think it allowed it to come through so much more genuinely and not really shrouded by this kind of aura of like everything has to be perfect and I'm doubting myself. Like instead I just allowed myself to be like, no, this is good enough. Like that was a huge challenge I had throughout the production process, was I would gain the awareness to feel myself start ruminating about something, and then I would literally force myself to walk away and be like, that's enough, that is good enough. And I would, there were so many things that I just was like, this may not be perfect, but it's good enough. And I would walk away. And it ended up, I think, making the art much better and much more like authentic.
That's
Yeah,
a
I'll
skill within
also-
itself.
I think it's really cool how we've been recording music since we were so young, because it is kind of like a bit of a time capsule, and we can like go back and see how much we've grown throughout all this. And I feel like just for myself with recording this one, it took me a really long time to feel good about recording drums. Like, you know, it's like one thing to be really good at like practicing with a band and like writing with a band or performing on stage, but like learning how to record is just so difficult, and to get a take that truly feels like comfortable and like how you want it to sound can be so difficult. And I feel like it took me a really long time to understand how to get there. But when recording this one, like I feel like, you know, when me and Cami were setting up the drums, I feel like we really locked in and had like an understanding a lot more of like, oh, this is how we want to do it. And it went really smooth. And like I feel like my performances finally, like, I figured out how to make it like click, and I was able to like record in this like really comfortable manner. And I just think it's so fun to get to listen back and be like, oh yeah, I see what I was struggling with here. And like just kind of being able to look at all that. It's just very fun to see how we've all grown as a band. It's very valuable.
I also want to add that Mwah was the first multi-track project of ours that was truly recorded entirely at home, in my home. That is kind of our home by extension. And I do feel like that really comes through, because I myself, in how I view art, am like I'm a huge proponent of just like DIY indie, especially when it comes to recording music and other art and podcasts and stuff like that. And I really feel that it was a bit of a leap of faith for us all to be like, no, we are going to do this at home. Like, it was a little scary at first, but I think that that is ultimately what ended up bringing the authenticity and like the love and I think that choice to record moi at home was like ultimately what made it what it needed to be.
It definitely adds a layer to it, knowing that, and then knowing the story behind the artwork now, knowing the story behind the recording process and how involved everyone was in that. For you guys, it must feel amazing to finally have this come out, and all the people that support you are, you know, sending you really nice texts like, hey, just pre-ordered all my stuff. Like that's got to be so reassuring, just as you guys have grown as well. Like it's tough for me to imagine it, because I don't put out music. So I appreciate you guys spilling some tea on the project. This is the last I'll ask about it, other than promoting it at the very end. But I'm gonna take a little slight turn here, just talk about the Central Illinois music scene as a whole. I ask these questions to everyone who is a guest on the pod, and I want to pose them to you. So the first one is, what is your favorite part of the Central Illinois music scene? And each of you can answer. It doesn't have to just be one.
Mine is the little gay people, because there's so many little gay people, and it's so lovely. And straight people can listen to our music too. We accept you for who you are. But all the little gay people are so sweet, and I feel like they just kind of like flock to us. And after shows, sometimes they come up to us in like little gaggles. And by little gay people, you can be any age you want to be a little gay person. But yeah, just I think specifically the experience of being a queer person and listening to a queer artist, there's just like an added baseline level of understanding where it's like I get some of the nuance and the feeling behind these other feelings. It's very special and lovely. So my final answer is the little gay people are my favorite part of the Central Illinois music scene.
I think my favorite part is the support we get from our fellow musicians. Like Sweet Milk shout out was very sweet. And I feel like we've just met a lot of really, really cool and nice people who have just been able to like really give us so much love. And it's been so nice then to get to kind of give that love back and kind of always know that like there are people in our corner, like wherever we go, like helping us and supporting us. I love like the other drummers are so sweet, and it's so fun, like especially anytime there's another girl drummer, it's like a little alliance. Like we always look at each other and we're like, yeah, we're friends. It's just so sweet.
Yeah, I'd love to like extend on what Ab was saying, just about that level of beautiful community and support for one another. Like truly something that's been on my mind so much recently is like just like the old adage, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I feel like the Central Illinois music scene broadly just encompasses that in such a beautiful way. Like with that beautiful Sweet Milk shout out, and like they spoke so sweetly of us and so sweetly of me, like guitarist to guitarist, and it was like exactly what I needed to hear in this moment. And also too, it's like genuinely one of my favorite parts of being a musician and traveling around and playing music with friends is being a cheerleader. Like that is my favorite part. Is like when other people are playing their sets, being like, oh wow, whoa, like screaming for them so loud, and like putting my little jazz fingers up when people are taking awesome guitar solos, and then coming after them after sets and like letting them know very specifically what I loved. Or like if we're traveling with a friend, like making sure to like run their merch, or if we're kind of looking over the merch and somebody's trying to buy something for a friend, making sure like the money gets in their hands, or taking videos on Instagram, or inviting people to other friends' shows and reposting graphics of shows. Like being a cheerleader to all of our wonderful friends, there's huge joy in that, especially for me, because like in the winter I tend to get a lot less like creative, and there'll sometimes be long periods of time where I'm like, I don't want to play music right now, like I kind of just, my guitars get kind of dusty. But during that time I always find myself leaning so hard into like that cheerleader role, like of just enjoying my other friends' music and enjoying their creativity and uplifting them, because it really is just like this beautiful back and forth that's almost like shimmying us up to more and more love and success. And I don't know, just watching our friends succeed and watching our friends like get the attention on their music and the love that they deserve has been like the most beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing in the world. And that is my favorite part, is like the community of that.
Not very surprising that is probably the most common answer I get, is the community aspect. And it's always so apparent wherever you are, whether it's Urbana, Champaign, or Bloomington, or Peoria, wherever. Everyone is so accepting of you, regardless of, they don't even know you. Like they're just like, hey, what's going on? Like, really? Did you just say hi to me? I don't even know who you are. But it's so nice. It's so different, and it's what a lot of people I think need right now. The last question is arguably the most controversial question that I have. So everyone has a favorite artist or band in the scene. I need to know yours. I'm sorry, all the bands are good. I always say that all the bands are really talented and really good, but everyone always has a favorite. So which ones are yours?
I'm going to confidently say currently mine is a two-way tie. And I know that's a cop-out cheater answer, but I'm freaking saying it. It's my right as an American. Number one is Sweet Milk. And I really do mean that. Whenever Kenna or Ori or whatever, whenever they're at a show, I'm like, okay, it's chill. It's smooth sailing. Sometimes you have a show where it's like, if one more thing goes wrong, I'm gonna have to head out. Like sometimes shows will make me question my career choices, but those are very few and far between. But when Kenna is our sound person at like Rose Bowl or any other kind of one-off sound things they do, I'm just like, oh, thank God. Like we are gonna be taken care of, taken seriously, which sometimes is not what's going on. Unfortunately, sometimes we are not taken as seriously as we should be by sound engineers, or when they're on the bill with us. I just know that my life is going to be changed, because we were playing a festival, the same festival as Sweet Milk, like a year and a half ago, and they played a set at Gallery Art Bar, and afterwards Cammie turned to us and was like, we are not the same now. After that set, crying, Cammie was like, everything has changed, and I couldn't agree more. So yeah, Sweet Milk, delicious, gorgeous. Also, they're hot people. Both of them are hot people, and it's fun to look at hot people. Additionally, my other answer is one Jalen Hope. Oh my God. Jalen Hope is everything and more. She is most certainly going to be getting a Grammy one day. Like, I believe that so deeply. Her live loops, her vocals, I'm just like, every time I see her, I just like am so mesmerized. So, Sweet Milk, Jalen Hope, love them forever.
This is such a hard question. I also do want to say Sweet Milk is amazing, and every time we see their set, I am blown away every time, even though I know all the songs and I know what they're going to play. Still, I'm like, whoa, it's just so incredibly good, and they're all so talented. But I think I will say I will go with a Champaign-based band, Dumb Down, because I love them. They're so cool. Their music, it's a lot more on the hardcore side. But it's so cool. Thomason, the drummer, is just a beast on drums. She is like the sweetest person in the whole world, and she plays for like a million different Champagne bands, and she is literally just like so crazy good on the drums. She plays so fast, and she does that double bass pedal like no one's business. And I just really admire her, and that whole project is just genuinely so amazing. They're so great.
I would like to like totally echo everything Em and Ab said. And I too was going to go for the Sweet Milk love vibes. But I do feel like Em and Ab like encompass that so beautifully. So just know Sweet Milk is like one of my favorite bands ever in the world, and I love Kenna so much, and they're an amazing guitar player, and they inspire me so much. But I actually kind of want to take it in a bit of a different direction today, because like this answer is always different for me. My favorite artist is always changing because there's too many good options. But I actually want to shout out my sweet friend Sock Museum, who I feel like does not always get the recognition that they deserve. Sock Museum makes this beautiful music that is at times about the most sweet and whimsical things. Like they have this song that is about a beach ball and like the joy of throwing around a beach ball on the beach. Or they have a song about how they don't really like oatmeal that much. I believe the lyrics are, I don't like oatmeal that much. I can't take it, it's too hot to touch. And it's like the arrangements that they create, they do all the production on their own, and also the like album art that goes along with it. I believe most of the album art is also done by them, and they are just such a sweet soul. And they also, it's what amazes me about Sock Museum too is like the fact that they can go from a song like their song Beach Ball, where it's just like about the simple pure joy of throwing around a beach ball, and I'm like, oh my god, that's literally so true and so deep, to like way more reflective, like pondering songs. Like they have this wonderful song called Lucy, and I haven't gotten to talk to them about what it's about. I don't know what it's about, but like to me that song strikes something very deep in me and very personal in me, and I'm like, how do you have the range to sing about like a waffle in the most wholesome and like warm of ways, and then like reflect something deep in my soul, like so existential in a song like Lucy? Like, how do you have the range to do that? But and also they are just so incredibly sweet. Every time I've ever worked with them, it has been nothing but a joy. And I almost had a chance to play melodica for them live, and it didn't get to happen. So I'm really hoping it gets to happen again one day. So like, Sock Museum, if you're hearing this, we should make that happen, because I really want to play melodica for you. But yeah, they're wonderful, and I low-key do not think they get enough hype, because the genre they embody is perhaps a little bit less represented in the scene. So everybody, please go check out Sock Museum. They're amazing.
Sock Museum is one that I haven't heard of, so I followed them immediately after you said that. I'll definitely check them out. But shout out Kenna and Ori. Talk about a fun ass interview. That interview was way longer than the version that I put out, and I had to cut out so much because it was so chaotic, but it was seriously the best time. They're awesome people. Their music is amazing. So shout out to them. Shout out to Sweet Milk. We love them. So we're having like a breaking moment here. It's breaking news for everyone listening. It's tour dates for Emily the band. So Emily, take it away.
We're going on world tour, believe it or not. And by the world, I mean the Midwest. But the Midwest, guess what, is on the world tour. We have got Saturday, February 15th at the Space in Champaign. We are having our release show extravaganza plus Hera's Drag Menagerie. It's going to be like music, then drag, then music, then drag. It's going to be everything and more. Sweet Milk's on the bill, thank God. And our friend Liney Blue from Lawrence, Kansas. It's going to be amazing. Then Thursday, March 13th, Rose Bowl with Madam Reaper, Vampire Pop from Chicago, holy shit, and our friends Venus Overdrive. That's who's on the bill. Delicious. It's our first time on a bill with them, and we are overjoyed. Then we have Saturday, March 15th in Chicago at Subterranean with Sunday Cruise and Star 99. Then we've got Iowa City, Iowa on Friday, the following Friday. Look at the tour graphic, because I'm not right now. That's going to be in Iowa City, Iowa with Allegra Hernandez and Mars Ohelia at Trumpet Blossom Cafe. And we are closing it out in Lawrence, Kansas with Liney Blue and June Henry. It's going to be nuts.
What a little excursion you guys will be going on. That sounds fun. And you're playing with a lot of really cool artists. The drag show sounds amazing. That's going to be a whole vibe. The whole, a band plays drag, band plays drag. That sounds amazing.
I'm very excited. It's kind of like, I'm feeling very like Chapel Roan, because when she's on tour, she has drag queens open. And to be transparent, the venue accidentally double booked with a drag show. So we were like, wait, this is an opportunity. So yeah, we combined the shows and it's going to be nuts. So please come. It'll be, I believe, the first like show where you can physically buy the Mwah EP due to the fact that it is the release show.
They were presented with the opportunity to be iconic. So make sure you guys go out and see that album release show. It's going to be nuts.
I just wanted to add too, I would love to specifically also call out our lovely Patreon too, because that's something we've been putting a lot of work into over the past like year or so. And it's grown to be such a lovely little collection of vlogs and blogs and photo dumps and chord charts and lessons and videos and like these exclusive demos, and we've been putting a lot of love into it. And I think something we're trying to work on this year is improving our level of shouting out the Patreon, because we put a lot of love into it. And if you find yourself wanting to support us in a little more of like an ambient way, or maybe you sign up for like a month or two and then you go over to someone else's Patreon to support, that would be beautiful if that's a way you're looking to support us, because we've had so much fun working on the Patreon. We put a lot of love into it, and I think this year we're trying to improve how much we shout it out, because I feel that people sometimes forget about Patreon as an option if they do have a little bit of that fluid income that they just kind of want to ambiently use to support artists. And check out your other favorite artists have Patreons. Check those out and hop around and subscribe to some different ones, because like, man, I think it's one of the most cool and like little intimate ways to support an artist you love. But yeah, just wanted to shout that out directly.
Cash in on all the exclusive content from Emily the Band. I'm gonna get it just because I want to hear the old song now. Emily sold me, so you got another one. I just want to thank the three of you for taking the time out of your Saturday to come on here and record with me and talk about your project. I am so excited. I'm really looking forward to Friday and hearing mwah in all of its glory. They're all clapping. They're muted, and it's cool, but they're all clapping just so those watching can understand.
I keep forgetting that this is an audio medium.
This is audio and video, so the YouTube will not be very satisfied with just staring at me while I'm thanking you and everyone's like clapping. But it's all good. It's fine. This is for the listener, really. Just please make sure, if you're listening, go check out mwah. Pre-save it. Comes out Friday. It's only a couple days away. So make sure that you guys get that in your library ready to go. You're not going to want to miss out. And I consider this to be the first big project release from Central Illinois. So make sure you do that. It's exciting. It's really exciting. Everything is aligning here. Be sure to follow Emily the Band on your preferred social media platform. You can find them on Instagram at Emily the Band, which is nice and simple for all of you. You can also find them on TikTok at Emily the Band Official. Again, super simple. Do it. It takes 2 seconds. If you want to support this amazing band, listen to Cameron. Go support their Patreon. Get the little monthly plan. Go listen to all their cool unreleased music. Or go check out their blogs. Check out their vlogs. Those vlogs got to be stupendous. They have to be iconic, if you will. Also, check out their Bandcamp page. This indie artist stuff, it costs money. So please support our indie artists. Buy their music. Support them on Patreon. It's a big help. You can also support them by heading over to Pretzel Records. On their website, you can purchase like a whole bundle with a CD copy of Mwah, some merch, a little mini CD copy. All these goodies have links that you will find in the show notes. So go check them out. Click the link. Support Emily the Band. They deserve it. But just like that, that's our show. You've been hanging out with Clubhouse Chronicles, where the sounds are hot, the stories are hotter, and the vibes absolutely off the chart. Don't forget, hit up at Broken Record Music Club on socials for all the updates, news, and more on this podcast and our label. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe and keep up with all the cool video content we will be rolling out this year. But until next time, keep it loud, keep it proud, and remember, Central Illinois is where the music magic happens. Peace.
Huzzah!